Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto was in Sword Art Online, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Floor 74. Boss Room. When the room has lit up, Naruto and the other two can see the boss appearance. It was a huge blue minotaur with terrifying glowing blue eyes and wielding a huge sword. It was Gleam Eyes, one of the most strongest boss of the game. When it roared, Kirito and Asuna widen their eyes in fright. Naruto is trying to keep himself from shaking. Just as the boss decide to rush at him, they immediately run out of the boss room. Outside, Kirito and Asuna sit down and lean to the wall nearby. Naruto turns to look at the closed door of the boss room. That looks like a tough one, said Asuna. At first glance, it seems that it only has a huge sword, but I bet it still had a special attack up its sleeves, said Kirito closing his eyes. All we can do is gather some vets from front lines and keep switching, said Asuna looking at Kirito and sigh, but Naruto decide to speak that moment. Only if those vets are tanks, then me and Kirito may have a chance at defeating it. I fought with Demon General and nearly died from just one of its special attack. The normal vets won't be of any help, said Naruto turning to Asuna. Then Asuna remembered the sword that Kirito obtained from Lisbeth and narrowed her eyes at Kirito. Kirito glancing sideways nervously at her and asked, "Why are you looking like that? You are hiding something, right? For what do you need the second sword?" "So suspicious," said Asuna, then glanced down at Kirito. Kirito, feeling uncomfortable, turned his head away. They stay for like that a while until Asuna bright up and said, "Well, whatever. It's rude to ask the people's skill choice." Then Asuna opens her inventory to brought out the lunch. "I know it's kinda late, but how about lunch you two?" Ask Asuna and looks to Kirito and Naruto. Is it something you made?" Asked Kirito looking wide eyes at Asuna. "What is so special about her cooking?" Asked Naruto curiously and raise his brow. "You don't know. Asuna's cooking is top-notch. You need to taste some if get cooking," said Kirito looking at Naruto like he is crazy. "Well, Liz is pretty skilled at cooking too. But I am a little hungry, so I think I'll taste your lunch now," said Naruto sitting down near them. Then Asuna gives the two sandwiches. They take it and begin to eat. Kirito bite a piece and exclaim, "So good." Asuna just smile pleasingly, then turn to Naruto and ask, "So how is it, Naruto? Is it better than Liz's cooking?" Naruto swallow the food and say, "Well, I've only tasted the stew of ragu rabbit from Liz and it was pretty good. But this sandwich is also very tasty." Then some people come out from a teleport circle. Kirito, Asuna and Naruto turn to the sound of the step and see that's the members from Furinkazan. Kirito looks at the person in the center and recognize him as Klein. Klein and his party were very tired and just walking ahead. Then Klein opens his eyes and recognizes the person in front of him. "Whoa, Kirito. It's been so long, man," said Klein, widen his eyes, then smiled. Kirito advert his eyes a little, then say, "Ah, you are still alive, Klein." Klein come near him and say, "You are as rude as ever, Kirito." Then he looks at the girl that is standing and the guy that is sitting and looks at him. "It's been a while, Klein. How have you been?" asked Naruto standing up. Klein looks at him with wide unbelieving eyes. "Why you are? And Naruto, Hitokiri Batasai. What are doing here?" The rest of the party hearing the name Hitokiri Batasai and begin to widen their eyes and murmur to each other. "Hey, you hear that? The Hitokiri Batasai is here. If we don't get out of here, he is gonna kill us all." Naruto just facepalm and sigh, then mutter, "When will they learn that I am killing only PK players?" Klein hearing that sighing in relief, then turned to Kirito and asked, "You are always solo. Why suddenly Hitokiri Batasai and this hot girl is with you?" Then Kirito introduced Klein and Asuna again to each other. Klein began to introduce himself and say something like, "Currently single and in searching for a girlfriend." Kirito hearing that punch him in the stomach, while Naruto laughing lying in the ground. The party seeing the leader was knocked down began to come near to surround Kirito. Then they look closely at Asuna and finally able to recognize her. Kirito prevent them from coming near Asuna. Then Asuna laughing out loud and covering her mouth. "What's going on, Kirito?" Klein whisper to Kirito. Well, Kirito say sweet dropping. We are just partying to train a little. That's all, Naruto say, then standing up and clear the dust from his star deity cloak. Then they heard more footsteps coming this way and turned to look at the direction. There's some people with heavy armor coming their way. Kirito recognized them as the army. They are actually the Aincrad Liberation Force. They were the largest guild, consist of over 3,000 players. But after the heavy loss at clearing on the 25th floor, they've been focusing on strengthening their organization. Suddenly, the commander ordered them to stop to rest. The remained soldiers slumping to the ground tiredly. Then the commander come near Kirito to introduce himself. I am Lieutenant Cole Corbats from Alf. I am Kirito. I am Solo. Have you ventured far than this? Yeah, we've mapped out the area to the boss room. Then I'd like you to give me that map data. Asuna, Kirito and Klein hearing that surprise. Klein asked angrily. You want that for free? Do you know how hard it is to map the air? We divide information and resources equally to all, maintain order and fight to free players from this world ASAP. Cooperating with us is only natural. Retort Corbats. Suddenly, he heard a laugh coming from the back of Kirito. Kirito, Asuna and Klein look back, wonder why Naruto is laughing. What are you laughing at? Ask Corbats angrily. Naruto suppress his laughter and say. You guys may be the largest guild before. But not now. After the foolish mistake of your leader, that arrogant bastard Kabao, you guys have lost about 80% of your force. Now you guys standing there and dare to demand something from us, said Naruto with a bored look. Corbats hearing that grit his teeth and was just about to unsheath his sword. Kirito raised his hand up and then turned to Naruto. That's enough, Naruto. You shouldn't provoke him like that. Naruto just looks the other way mutter. Che. Then he turned to Corbats and say. Okay, I will share the map data with you. I plan to make it public anyway when we got back to the city. Then he opens menu and transfer the data to Corbats. Klein turned to Kirito and sigh. You being way to niece, Kirito. After the transferring was complete, Corbats turned to leave and say. I appreciate for your cooperating. Before he go too far, Naruto step out from behind and say. If you fools are thinking of fighting the boss, don't bother. You don't stand a chance at even to injure him. Corbats turned to Naruto with grit teeth and say. That's for me to decide, you heartless killer. We've just checked the boss room. There is no way you guys can stand a chance with only that fewer people. And your men are already all exhausted, said Kirito. Try to make Corbats to change the decision. Corbats turned to Kirito and shout. My men aren't weak enough to give up from something so trivial. Then he turned to his men and command. You all, stand up already. The men all stand up and begin to move backwards, but before they go too far they heard. Your foolish decision will cause you all to die. They turn back and see that Naruto is looking at them. Corbats just glare at Naruto one last time, then he and his troops move away. When they left, Klein asked, is it alright to leave them like that? Well, it's not like they will head to the boss room right away, after we give them the warning, said Asuna. Let's have a look. Just in case, proposed Kirito. The Furinkazan member just smile at the proposition. Naruto decide to walk ahead of them. Time skip. On the way to the boss room, the party doesn't need to do anything, as Naruto, that was walking ahead of them, had to defeat all the monsters in front of them. Klein looks at Naruto nervously, then turned to Kirito to whisper to him. Was that true that Naruto has single-handedly defeat the demon general on the 60th floor? Kirito glanced sideways and answers, then sigh. Yeah, though he nearly died in the process. Still to fight a boss solo. That guy sometimes is crazy beyond imagination. Then they heard a scream coming from the direction of the boss room. Naruto narrowed his eyes and rushed there. Wait for us, Naruto. Asuna shout, and she with Kirito running to catch up to Naruto. Boss room. Naruto arrives and looks at the scene before him. The soldiers were lying on the ground covering themselves, as Gleam Eyes is looking down at them. Idiots, muttered Naruto with grit teeth. Asuna and Kirito also arrives and see the scene. Suddenly, the boss swing his huge sword at one of the soldier, cause him to fly and then shatter to blue polygon. What the heck are doing? Quick, use the teleport crystal, yelled Kirito. We can't. It won't work here, said one soldier. Then the one standing near him was crashed down by the swing of the sword. Kirito widened his eyes at that fact. Naruto turned to Kirito and say, It's just like that time, Kirito. If I wasn't appeared there in time, all those people will all be dead. Kirito remembered that time with the moonlit black cat, and if Naruto didn't appeared back then, the others would have been dead. We, the ALF, will not suffer the shame of defeat again, shouted Korbats. Fight. We must fight, he shouted, pointing his sword at the boss. What the heck are you doing? Retreat immediately. Don't you see that you have zero chance at defeating the boss? Do you want all of your men to die here? Shouted Naruto angrily at Korbats. Shut up. We will never suffer the shame of defeat again, shouted Korbats. Then he ordered to his men to attack the boss and charge forward. Kirito trying to stop them but is too late. Gleam Eyes just looks at those foolish humans that dare to attack him, with his glowing blue eyes. Then he breathes blue fire and use a skill and swing his huge sword horizontally and cause the soldiers to collapse to the ground. Then he slashes up and sends Korbats fly up high in the air, to crash down heavily to the ground. Kirito goes to him to checks him. The helmet of Korbats shatter, exposing his wide eyes. This can't be, said Korbats before shattering to blue polygons. Asuna looks down horrifying and covering her mouth. Then they heard a scream. The boss is towering over one shoulder and he is sitting on the ground helplessly. Just as the boss decide to finish him off, Asuna jumps at its back and use linear to stab at its back. Kirito and Klein looks wide eyes and charge forward to assist Asuna. Naruto also decide to act to run up the walls and jumps to the boss head from behind. Gleam Eyes feelings the attack at his turn back, to slash behind and punching Asuna to fly back to the ground. Then it begin to towering Asuna. Asuna wide her eyes but then looks up and see Naruto in midair, then heard Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Ryutsuzan. Naruto manages to slash down at the boss face. Gleam Eyes roaring in pain the breathes the fire at Naruto. In midair and in such a close distance, Naruto can't dodge the attack and was hit by it. Ah! Screamed Naruto and crashing to the ground. Kirito and Asuna looks at the crashing form of Naruto and shout. Naruto! Just as Gleam Eyes was about to slash down at Naruto, Kirito appear before him to deflect the strike. While Kirito and the others are fighting the boss, Klein and the others use that chance to bring the remaining soldiers to a safe place. Kirito is fighting the boss one-on-one, while Naruto is still recovering from the attack. Gleam Eyes slash down at Kirito, but Kirito tries to hold off. But doing so cause his HP to drop drastically. At this rate, muttered Kirito with his eyes half close. Then he heard Kirito switch. He turned and see Naruto standing up with his hair covering his eyes. Kirito did as he was told and Naruto charged forward, exposing his cold blue eyes with a dangerous gleam. Gleam Eyes see the opponent charge at him and intercept him. But that just what Naruto wants as him jumps up and avoid the strike so that he jumps past him and begin to spin. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Ryukansen. With that the boss was strike to the back, and roaring in pain. But it quickly swing his huge sword around causing Naruto to deflect the strike, though doing do send him flying. Then the boss breath fire at Naruto. The same trick won't work on me twice. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Doryusen. The debris attack caused by Doryusen has manages to deflect the fire breath. The others just looks at the battle with wide unbelievable eyes. Klein mutter. Is this what the infamous Hitokiri Batasai capable of? I know Naruto is strong, but to see him hold off against the boss and actually manages to injure it, muttered Asuna with wide eyes. But he won't be able to hold it up for long. Just look at his HP point, said Kirito. Asuna looks at Naruto's HP and horrifying as his HP is in the red zone already. Kirito looks at Asuna and Klein and say, I am going to help Naruto out now. Please hold it off for 10 seconds for me. Naruto drinks the potion then jumps backwards to use Umaizen to stun it for seconds. Naruto, switch with me, shouted Asuna and Naruto did as he was told. She and Klein hold it off for 10 seconds. Then Kirito shout from behind. I am ready. Naruto looks at Kirito and see he takes out the dark repulsor from his back. He smirk and turn to Asuna and say, Asuna, switch back with me. Asuna looks surprised then try to ask. But you. Naruto close his eyes and looks at her smirking. Judy switch back and you will witness something amazing called, strongest duo. Kirito charge forward with two swords in hand. Starburst stream. Shouted Kirito and deals a multi-strikes at Gleam Eyes. Naruto charge from behind and shout. Hiten Mugen Zan. The boss couldn't do anything as the strikes were so fast and from both sides. The others looking at what is happening with dumb face. Is this the combined strength of Black Swordsman and Hitokiri Batasai? It's just unreal, muttered Klein with wide eyes and open mouth, as are the others as well. Naruto looks at Kirito's HP bar and shouts. Falls back, Kirito. You are at limits. I have a move that will finish him off right now. Kirito looks with one of his eyes, as the other was close from exhaustion. He nods and jumps back to Asuna and the others, but still not taking his eyes of the battle. Asuna rushed to him to check if he is okay, then turned to Naruto and asked worriedly. Will he be okay now? Kirito still looks at the battle, smiles tiredly. Yeah, if he say that he will finish it off, then it will be done. He is Hitokiri Batasai after all. With the battle, Naruto changed his stance to a normal kendo stance and close his eyes. Gleam Eyes just cooks his head back, not understanding why his opponent chose to just stand there. Then brought his huge sword up high, preparing for the finish strike. The others just widening their eyes. Klein shouts worriedly. What the heck is he doing? Just standing in a normal kendo stance and closing his eyes like that. Is he suicide or something? Kirito just turns to looks at Naruto and smirks. No, this is the preparation for the finish strike. Gleam Eyes slashes down his sword at Naruto. Asuna covering her face not wants to see the scene. Suddenly, Naruto snaps open his eyes. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Kujoyusen. With that all the 9 vital points were strike at once. The others widen their eyes at seeing the move, even Kirito. The boss stands still for a minute, then shatters to blue polygons. The panel with, congratulations, appear. Naruto sigh tiredly and sit down to the ground. The others begin to cheer and come to him to congratulate him. Suddenly, he feels a strike to his head and turn around to see Asuna is looking at him with angry eyes. What did I do? Asked Naruto while rubbing his head. How dare you scared us to death, with that last moves. We all thinks you are gonna be dead that moment, shouted Asuna glaring at him. That was the trick. To scare you guys then defeat the boss. I am the prankster at Heat after all. Smirking Naruto and bring a thumbs up. Kirito just sigh at Naruto's foolishness. You know, you really are. Asuna glared at him for a while then smirks. Oh, what will your dear wife say, if I told her that her husband nearly died on the battle today? Naruto hearing that immediately paled and begged her not told Lisbeth anything. Asuna looks at Kirito and shows a victory sign. Wait, you mean Naruto is married? When the heck did that happen? Asked Klein and pointing a shaky finger at Naruto with wide eyes. Yeah, he married my best friend. Said Asuna rolls her eyes. You lucky son of a bitch, Naruto. I don't even have a girlfriend and you already are married. Shouted Klein with crying face while holding his collar and shaking him. I am, not, at, fault, that, you, still don't have a girlfriend. Said Naruto while he is being shaken by Klein. Well, we will part ways here. And I want to see your wife next time we meet, said Klein and turns back to leave with the others from his guild. Before he leaves he turns back to Kirito and say. Kirito, I am glad that you decide to help those people. Then he turns to Naruto and say. You too, Naruto. I am just glad that you are not like those rumors say. With that, he and the rest of his guild left. Naruto turns to Kirito and Asuna and request. I am returning to Liz now. Do you two want to come as well? We've bought a cabin at the village in the 22th floor. Kirito and Asuna look at each other and nod. Time skip. Floor 22. Naruto and Lisbeth's house. Lisbeth receives a message from Naruto that he is returning with Kirito and Asuna. The doors opens and Naruto steps in. Lisbeth immediately jumps to his arms and kiss him deeply. Kirito and Asuna looking at the scene and feels weird, so they look away. When Liz broke the kiss, she smiles softly and say, "Welcome home, my darling." Then she looks back and see Kirito and Asuna. Oh, Kirito, Asuna. It's been a while. Asuna go to Liz to hug her. Yeah, it's been a while. So how is your married life? Lisbeth just smirks and say, I lives like a queen now. Naruto-kun is so low that I can afford anything. I just forging weapons now if I don't have anything to do. You know I am pretty jealous, seeing you this happy, said Asuna with half-lit eyes. Oh no you are not. Naruto is mine now. You have Kirito already, said Liz crossing her hands and looks at Naruto protectively. What there is nothing going on with me and Kirito-kun. Also, I didn't mean something like that, shouted Asuna, embarrassed with blush face. Yeah, said Liz, rolls her eyes. Look, there is news about the battle in the boss room, said Naruto, reading a newspaper. Kirito go behind him to read. The blue-eyed demon, that destroyed all the army force, was taken down by Hitokiri Batasai with 9 strike to the vital points at once. And black swordsman wielding 2 swords and strike 50 hit combo, read Naruto, then he facepalm and put his head to the table. So troublesome. With this it's just cause more problems. Kirito just looks at Naruto and laughing nervously. Ha ha. Then Asuna receives the message from her commander. She read and turned to Naruto and Kirito to say worriedly. Naruto, Kirito. Things just get out of hands. What is wrong, Asuna? Asked Liz worriedly. The commander demanded Kirito and Naruto to meet up at the HQ to ask the reason why they took me away. Floor 55. Granzam. Kirito, Naruto and Asuna is standing in front of the commander of Kobo. Is this the first time that we meet Kirito, Naruto? Said the commander, looking at Kirito and Naruto. No, we had met at the strategic meeting at the 67th floor, answered Kirito. Yes, it's definitely the first time that we meet, but I've heard about you everywhere, Commander Heathcliff, said Naruto. Looks at the commander. We may be the strongest guild now, but our strength is weakened each day. And here you two trying to draw away one of our most important players, said Heathcliff, closing his eyes. If she is so important to you, you should choose her a better bodyguard than that Karadiel guy, said Kirito, narrowing his eyes. I apologize for the trouble that Karadiel had made back there. But even we won't just sit back and watch you two take away our vice commander, said Heathcliff, looking at Kirito, then glance at Naruto. Heathcliff think for a minute, then say. Kirito, Naruto, I want to fight you both. Kirito, if you win, you can take Asuna with you. But if you lose, then you will join us. Same to you too, Naruto. If you win, I won't capture you for the crimes you made. But if you lose, you'll serve personally under me, said Heathcliff, turned to Kirito first, then to Naruto. Naruto narrows his eyes, thinking for a minute, then decide to say. On one condition, you will fight me if you manage to defeat Kirito. I am not saying Kirito weaker than me. It's just that my techniques are more unpredictable, said Naruto, looking at Heathcliff, challenging him. Heathcliff narrows his eyes at Naruto and reply. Okay, I will fight you only when I manage to defeat Kirito. Kirito narrows his eyes at Heathcliff and say. Very well, I accept this challenge. I am using swords better than words after all. Let's end this with a duel. October 20th, 2024. Floor 75. Collinia. After agreeing to the condition of the duel, Heathcliff said that the duel will be at Collinia. The people heard that there will be a duel between the commander of Kobo and the black swordsman Kirito, so they all gathered themselves here and waiting for the duel in anticipation. At the back of arena, Asuna is scream at Kirito for his stupidity, while Naruto is crossing his hands and eyes leaning to the wall. Stupid. Why would you agree to that? And you too, Naruto, do you really think you could defeat the commander? He is a commander for a reason, you know. She turned her head to Naruto to lecture him with a scowling face. Naruto opens his eyes and turned to Asuna to say. He may not win against Kirito, so maybe I won't need to fight him. But if he does win, then. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes gleaming dangerous with so much bloodlust that Asuna and Kirito widen their eyes and take a step back. I will not hesitate to use my full power on him. In this world, only him and Kirito can force me to use my full power. Then his eyes return to normal, Asuna and Kirito breath out in relief. Asuna then turned to Kirito and say. When I see you use dual wielding, I thought your strength was a tier on its own. But the commander has a unique skill too. Kirito look ahead seriously and say. Yeah, I've seen a few times. Divine Blade, a skill that maximizes both attacks and defense. The increasing in attack is impressive, but the boost of defense even more so. I've heard that his HP bar never even reach yellow zone, said Naruto, look at the ceiling with serious face. Then he turns to Kirito and say. This will be tough, Kirito. Maybe even tougher than fighting bosses. But I believe in you. Also maybe watching your battle, I can find his weakness. Kirito then looks up at Naruto and smirks. Yeah, I am not going down without a fight. I will try to expose his weakness as well. But it will be tough, I know for sure. His defense is practically impenetrable. Naruto put his hand on Kirito's shoulder and smiles. Just do your best. Kirito looks at Naruto determined and say. Yeah. At the arena. The people is cheering loudly for the two persons standing at the middle of arena. Kirito and Heathcliff standing face to face. Heathcliff says and looks around the arena at all the people that surround them. I am sorry, Kirito. I didn't realize this will be such a big deal. I receive a percentage of the entrance fee, said Kirito looking at Heathcliff. No. After our fight you will be a member of my guild, so is your friend Naruto. I'll treat this as a mission, said Heathcliff prepare to start a duel but Kirito interrupt him. About Naruto. Why did you challenge him to a duel? You knew perfectly well, that Naruto hasn't do anything in involving to take Asuna away, it's all me. So why did you challenge him? Asked Kirito narrowing his eyes suspiciously. Heathcliff looks at Kirito then Naruto, that is stand far away from him at the back and answer. That's right, I know from the very beginning that Naruto-kun hasn't do anything in taking Asuna away. But I have a reason of my own to battle him. Also if Lim have managed to make Naruto-kun to join my guild too, then we will be unstoppable. Heathcliff opens the menu and challenges Kirito to a duel. Kirito receives the invitation and press accept. Naruto is watching at the both of them with serious face. The timer begin to tick and the count go down. Kirito prepares to unsheath both of his blades, while Heathcliff prepares to unsheath his blade from the shield. When the countdown went to 0, Naruto mutters. It's begun. With that Kirito rush at Heathcliff with impressive speed and stab forward. Heathcliff just raise his shield calmly to protect himself from the attack. Kirito begin to slash rapidly using both swords. But all the attacks were useless, as Heathcliff just blocks all with his shield. Seeing an opening in Kirito's defense, Heathcliff slash up at the opening force. Kirito jumps back in surprise. Naruto, not taking his eyes even for a minute from the fight, continue to analyzes the battle. Not even a slightest opening in his stance. What will you do now, Kirito? Seeing Kirito jumps back, Heathcliff decide to change to offense and charge forward and using his shield to strike Kirito in the gut. The attack caused Kirito to fly back at a certain distance. Heathcliff continued to charge forward. Kirito grit his teeth angrily and activates Starburst Stream to attacks rapidly. But Heathcliff just blocks all the strikes with his shield. Excellent reflects. Heathcliff praised Kirito. You too. And that shield of yours is strong like hell, replied Kirito smirking back. With that the two charge at each other with blurred speed and slash at each other. One trying to slash at each other and dodging the opponent's strike at the same time. Kirito increase his speed in the slash, but Heathcliff also increasing on his attacks but also with his shield to deflect Kirito's attacks. Asuna watching the battle and clutching her hand nervously. Kirito-kun, are you worried about him? Asked Naruto still looking at the fight. Asuna turns to Naruto and answer. Of course, I am. And why do you so calm? Didn't you worry about Kirito-kun too? Just believe in him, said Naruto glance sideways to Asuna. Suddenly, Kirito stabs forward quickly when Heathcliff tilts his head aside and manages to injure him. Then he continues to attack even more faster rushing at the shield to break through. Kirito's rapid strikes manages to break through the shield, and cause Heathcliff to lean back and grit his teeth. Then just as Kirito about to slash down at Heathcliff, for a second, but he was stunning. But that second was enough for Heathcliff to move his shield to block the strike. Kirito widen his eyes surprise and shock. In the back, Naruto also noticed something was wrong and narrows his eyes. It's not imagination. For a second, Kirito was stunned and because of that Heathcliff manages to avoid the strike. What the heck is going on there? Heathcliff sidesteps Kirito and stabs him at the shoulder. Because of the shock that he still has not recovered, Kirito couldn't dodge the strike and was stabbed. The strike was powerful enough to send him to the ground. Then the panel appears to declare Heathcliff the winner of the duel. The people bag in cheering loudly. Kirito just look up at Heathcliff in surprise. Naruto come out from the back moves to Kirito. He gives Kirito a hand to helps him stand up and say. Good job, Kirito. I will take over from here. Kirito grabs Naruto's hand and stand up then turn to Naruto seriously. Be careful, his defense is top notch. I barely able to break through. Yeah, thanks for the warning. Go to Asuna immediately, she is worried sick about you, said Naruto and walked to the center of arena. Heathcliff turns to Naruto and say. I can finally measure my strength with a man that is called Hirokiri Batasai. With this win, you will join guild and we will be unstoppable. Naruto just closes his eyes and smirks. I have no intention to lose. I've made a promise to my sensei that I will be number one. And I plan on keeping that promise. We will see about that. But first I want to change a weapon. You don't mind, right? Ask Heathcliff looking at Naruto. Naruto just looks surprises but say, yeah, I don't mind. Just change to any weapon you like. Then I will return in a minute, as this gear is not for this weapon. With that Heathcliff go to the back to change. The people hearing that there will be extra fight between Heathcliff and Hitokiri Batasai begin to cheer even louder. Asuna near Kirito is asking if he was okay. Kirito just nod his head then ask Asuna. Did you commander use the other weapon before? Why he decide to change Naruto with different weapon and gear? Asuna shakes her head and answer. I don't know. It actually the first time, I am hearing that the commander can use his other weapon. Some minutes had passed, and finally Heathcliff walks out in a kimono with some guard piece on his clothes and in his hand is a katana. Naruto just looks at him with narrows eyes. Sorry, for making you wait Naruto-kun. But now I am ready, said Heathcliff standing with Naruto face to face now. Kirito and Asuna looks at each other surprise, as that was the first time they saw the commander wearing something and holding anything other than the sword in a shield. The countdown begun its count, both Naruto and Heathcliff changes to their stance. But when Naruto looks at the stance that Heathcliff's take, he eyes widen like dinner plates and so is Kirito, as they recognize the stance. It was the basic Batojutsu stance that Naruto is taking right now also. How? Why? How do you know that stance? Are you also? Shouted Naruto shocked then his eyes widen in realization. That's right, Naruto-kun. It's as you were thinking. I also managed to find that cave. I am also the Hiten Mitsurugi Ru user. Said Heathcliff smirking at Naruto's shocked face. At the stand, Kirito and Asuna, all the people there is shocked at this fact as well. I thought Naruto was the only user of that style. But to think the commander is hiding this style, muttered Kirito widen his eyes at shock. Yeah, it shocks me as well. I think this fact has shocks all the players. But Naruto even more so, said Asuna still shocked and turns to watch at Naruto's expression. Lisbeth sitting somewhere in the stand, looking at Naruto worriedly. Naruto-kun. At the arena. Naruto still shocks at the seeing then he glares at Heathcliff and shout. That's not possible. I won't accept this. I am the only user of this style. Heathcliff just smirks back at Naruto and say. Seems that fact that I am using this style had shocked you. I'll make you join my guild, Naruto-kun. Naruto's hair shadowed his eyes and the air around him seems colder. The people in the stand that was far behind could still felt the shiver ran down their spine. Naruto looks up with his cold blue eye and say emotionlessly. The fact that you are using this style won't change anything. I will annihilate you for being a copycat. Naruto charges forward at Heathcliff like a bullet. Heathcliff pointing the tip of his katana to the ground and slash up. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Doryusen. The debris wave caused by Doryusen immediately heads to Naruto. Naruto jumps aside to avoid the wave. Heathcliff charge forward and use Ryukansen, Chumuji and spin like a drill at Naruto. Naruto not hesitate to use Ryukansen, Kogarashi to blast Heathcliff away. Heathcliff being blasted away by Ryukansen, Kogarashi grunt a little, then he looks ahead to see Naruto charge at him in a Batojutsu stance. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Hiruzen. Naruto rotates rapidly and shoots the sheath at Heathcliff. Heathcliff manages to jump backwards to dodge. I will take things seriously from here, said Heathcliff narrowing his eyes and charges at Naruto at blurred speed. Naruto was shocked at the increasing at the speed that he barely able to deflect Hiten Mugen Zan of Heathcliff's. But the force that Heathcliff applied still send Naruto flying. Naruto stand up from the ground and glares at Heathcliff. Heathcliff looks down at Naruto and asks. Will you surrender now, Naruto-kun? You can't win against me. I am the true master of Hiten Mitsurugi Ru. Naruto hearing that shouts back. I am not going to lose to you. I will prove to you that I am the only successor to this style. Then he charges forward with a speed that Heathcliff is barely able to see. Naruto appears behind Heathcliff and uses Usozen to strike his opponent's back. Heathcliff couldn't dodge the strike in time, as Naruto's was increased. He slashes back, but Naruto jumps in the sky and shouts. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Ryutsuzen. Heathcliff dodged her aside and waiting for Naruto to land to perform Ryukansen. But Naruto expected this and brought his sword to the back to deflect the strike. In the stand, all the people just watching the fight in excitement. They knew that the fight will be good, but they never expected it to be this good. I can't believe Naruto is holding his own against the commander. Even though the commander uses the same style, said Kirito, not taking his eyes off the fight. Yeah, Naruto is really amazing. Never seeing anyone that go toe-to-toe with the commander, said Asuna in awe. Lisbeth sitting in her seat smiling and looking down at the battling figure of Naruto and say softly, I believe in you, Naruto-kun. With the fight, Heathcliff seeing his strike miss, grit his teeth, then charge at Naruto and uses Ryukansen, Arashi. Naruto uses his own Ryukansen, Arashi, to deflect the attacks. Heathcliff increasing his speed to appears behind Naruto and mutters, Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Soryusen, Ikazushi. Naruto manages to dodges the first strike, but he couldn't dodge the strike that was being drawn from the sheaths. As a result, he was sent flying to the wall. Kuso. That was pretty hard strike. Muttered Naruto, open one of his eye. Then he noticed the stance that Heathcliff and looks in horror. Heathcliff has changed his Batojutsu stance to normal Kenjutsu stance. In the stand, Kirito and Asuna recognized the stance and widen in horror. That stance. He will performs that move that Naruto uses against Gleam Eyes, said Asuna turning to Kirito worriedly. Yeah, no doubt it's that move. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Kujoyusen. The move that strikes all 9 vital spots once with God speed, said Kirito, narrowing his eyes, then turned to look at Naruto. What will you do now, Naruto? Can you really dodge this technique? With the fight, Heathcliff stand in a normal Kenjutsu stance and looks at Naruto. It's over, Naruto-kun. Kujoyusen is the ultimate move that can't be dodged. You can't win against me now. As a Hiten Mitsurugi Ru user, you also know that, right? Naruto looks at Heathcliff silently for a minute, then decide to reply. Yes, it's true that Kujoyusen can't be dodged if I am not faster than the user. But, do you really think that Kirito is the only one with extra skill? Ask Naruto and point the tip of his foot to the ground, then begin to tap the ground. Heathcliff hearing that widen his eyes, then smirks and turns to Naruto to say, you are bluffing. You don't have extra skill. But even if you had it, that won't help you to avoid Kujoyusen. We'll see, said Naruto, still tap the ground with his foot. At the stand, Kirito, hearing Naruto's declaration that he has extra skill, also surprised at that. Asuna turns to Kirito to ask, do you know that Naruto has extra skill, Kirito-kun? Kirito shakes his head and say, no, I didn't know that he has extra skill. Though I am curious, what kind of skill is that? Then Kirito looks back at the arena. With the fight, Heathcliff decide to warn Naruto one last time. It's your last chance, Naruto-kun. Surrender, or pay the consequence. I am never gonna give up. Shouted Naruto. So be it. Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Kujoyusen. 9 strikes flying at Naruto at once. All the people's hearts stop for a minute looking at the scene before them. Lisbeth just covering her face with her hands. Kirito and Asuna shout Naruto's name. Suddenly, Naruto disappears right before the strikes could hit him. The ground was crashed down by an unknown force. Heathcliff widened his eyes at shock and surprise. The invisible force moves to Heathcliff with such speed that it tearing the ground while moving. Naruto appears right in front of a shocked face of Heathcliff and say, Hiten Mitsurugi Ru Ryushosen. Then strike Heathcliff to the jaw with such force that sends him high in the sky. Then Heathcliff crashed down heavily to the ground and lying motionlessly. Naruto is kneeling on the ground panting heavily. What was that move? Asked Heathcliff weakly. Naruto turns to him and look down at him and answers. The extra skill that improves speed to inhuman level Shukuchi. Heathcliff hearing that smiles tiredly. Well, you've won, congratulations. Never expect you to have such move. Don't put yourself down. You are the toughest opponent that I've ever fought. The bosses are just a joke compared to you, said Naruto looking at Heathcliff respectfully. Haha, thanks for the compliment then. But Kirito will join my guild from now, said Heathcliff looking at Naruto. Yeah, a deal is a deal after all. Well, I will go now then. With that said, Naruto turns to leave. The crowd is cheering loudly at Naruto and clapping their hands applauding him. Kirito and Asuna rush to him to congratulate him. Then he feels someone embracing him from behind. He turns back and see that Liz is embracing him. I was so worried for you. How dare you do something as foolish that accepting the challenge to the duel from a commander of the strongest guild. Naruto just smiles tiredly and hugs her back. I'll not do something like this again. This is the last time, I promise. Then Kirito decides to ask and looks at him annoyed. And why didn't you tell any of us that you had extra skill? Naruto scratching his head and sweet dropping. Oops. Forget. Asuna just looks at him with annoying expression then grabs her forehead and sigh. You really are. But now Kirito must join the Kobo, as he lose the duel, said Naruto looking at Kirito. Well, it can't be helped. I've lose the duel after all. We will head to the HQ right now. What about you? Said Kirito then turns to Naruto to ask him. Naruto looks at Liz and say. I will spend some time with Liz. Then take care of yourself, said Kirito then he and Asuna walk away. When they left, Naruto turns to Liz and say. Well, let's return to our home. I think you should cook something awesome to celebrate my victory. Don't you think? Lisbeth smirks at Naruto and lean on his shoulder. I am very lazy right now. So we will go to the most luxurious restaurant to celebrate, okay? Naruto rolls his eyes at that, but nod his head. With that the two went to the teleport zone and teleport away. October 22, 2024. Floor 50. Algade. After the fight at Colinia, Kirito and Asuna have come to Algade, on of the Kobo base. Kirito looks at himself in a new uniform and sigh. Didn't I request something that wasn't so flashy? It's one of the least flashy design. And you look great in this, said Asuna clap her hands and closing her eyes smiling. Then Kirito falls on his back to the bed and mutters. A guild huh? I didn't mean to drag you into this, said Asuna looking at Kirito. No, it was good time. I was just about at limit what I could solo, said Kirito and rise up. Hearing that actually makes me feels better, replied Asuna. Then she looks down to the ground to think for a minute and decide to ask. Hey, Kirito-kun, why are you avoiding to join guilds? And other people too? I refuse to believe that you were a beta tester with unique skill. Right, you are a kind person. Kirito looks down for a while and decides to answer. It was a long time ago. That was the first meeting between me and Naruto after we part ways at the first floor. Over the year ago, I did join a guild just once. The guild was tiny, only 5 members in it. It was called the Moonlit Black Cats. To be honest, I outleveled them by far. So I think that if I told them my actual level was, they wouldn't have want me there. So I decided to hide that fact and joined them. I was jealous of how comfortable they were with each other. But one day, one of the members found the treasure chest and dragged the other members to join him. That appeared to be a trap for greedy players with no knowledge. They supposed to be dead that day, until Naruto came and saved us. Then I thought what would happen if Naruto didn't appear there. Then they will all died. Because I hide the fact that I was a beta tester and didn't warn them about the trap. Still after that they had accepted me. But every time I looked at them I felt a guilt that went away. That's why I never joined guilds from that day. Asuna just looks at Kirito in pity after hearing his story. Then she decides to come near him and hold his face in her hands. I won't die on you. Because I am the one that wants to protect you after all. With that she embraces him in her arms. Kirito just smiles silently in her arms. October 24, 2024. Floor 55. Granzam. Kirito and Asuna is sitting at the table drinking tea. Suddenly, a man with brown hair afro style come in. The man turned to Kirito and say, that he and one more person will party up with him to clear the dungeon at the 55th floor. Asuna hearing that begin to protest. But Godfrey retorts. Even if you are the second in command, your friend here has to follow the rules. And if he will be joining us, as the forward commander I will evaluate his skills for myself. Asuna hearing the retorts. Kirito-kun is like million times stronger than you. Kirito just sigh and looks down in his chair. Then we will meet each other at Western Gate in 30 minutes. Said Godfrey turns to leave pumping his fist up and laughing loudly. Asuna looks down disappointed and sigh. We finally had a chance to be alone. Kirito stands up and pat her head. I won't be gone for long. Wait here. Asuna nod her head and say. Okay. Be careful okay. Kirito nod his head. Time skip. Outside. When Kirito walked out, he already saw Godfrey waving at him. Godfrey drags a person hides behind the wall. Kirito looks at the person and recognizes him as Kirito. When Kirito had came near them, he stopped and asked, "What's going on here? From now on, we are part of the same guild. I thought it will be good time to bury the hatchet," said Godfrey. Kirito approaches Kirito and apologies. "I am sorry about what happened. I will never act that way again, so please forgive me." Kirito says, then bows his head. Kirito sees Kirito bows down and feels uncomfortable. Sure. Well, that's that. Today I'd like to assess how you react when faced with dangerous situations, so give me your crystals, said Godfrey. Opens his palm. "Even teleport crystals?" asked Kirito in surprise. Godfrey just nod his head. Then Kirito and Kirito give him all their crystals. With that they head to the direction of the dungeon. Floor 55. Dungeon entrance. The three members of Kobo has been walking for a while. Suddenly, Godfrey stops and turns to Kirito and Kirito. "Okay, time for a break." Kirito and Kirito sit down to the stones nearby. "Now, I will give you some foods," said Godfrey and takes the food out from his inventory and throws it to Kirito and Kirito. Kirito opens his bag, looks in and feels disappointed, as he imagines the sandwich made by Asuna. So he decides to take the bottle of water out and takes a sip. Kirito just watching silently as Kirito sipping his water. Kirito turns to Kirito and wonders why he doesn't drink the water. When Kirito smirked, Kirito widened his eyes and looked in the bottle. He suddenly found himself weakening and threw the bottle away, caused it to crash to the ground. He turned to Godfrey and saw he was in the same condition as him. Then he felt all his body began to numb and realized that he had drank the paralysis poison. Kirito saw that and began to cackle maniacally. What the hell? Kirito, weren't you the one that brought the water? Whimpered Godfrey. Lied on the ground, looked up at Kirito. Use the antidote crystal. Whimpered Kirito weakly. Godfrey managed to take out the antidote crystal, but Kirito jumped to him and kicked the crystal away. Then he insulted Godfrey and unsheathed his sword and raised it up and slashed down at Godfrey. Godfrey felt the strike and yelled in pain. Then he told Kirito to stop, but Kirito smirked maliciously and said, "Listen well. Our party was attacked by the party of PK players. Despite fighting with all your might, you were slain. Only I returned alive, having wiped out all the PK players all by myself." With each sentence he slashed down at Godfrey and laughed maniacally. Kirito just looked in horror as Godfrey's life dropped continuously. Kirito stabbed down at Godfrey's back continuously and laughed out madly. Suddenly, Godfrey widened his eyes and shattered in blue polygon, as his HP dropped to 0. Kirito watched the scene in shock as this was the first time he witnessed the player killed another one. Then Kirito turned to Kirito slowly with a mad expression and approached him slowly. Kirito narrowed his eyes and said, "Naruto was right about be careful with you. Why would such a bastard like you join Kobo? You should be in PK Guild. What an interesting thing to say. You have keen eyesight," said Kirito and pressed the button to show the tattoo of Laughing Coffin. Kirito immediately widened his seeing the tattoo and recognized it as the crest Laughing Coffin Guild. Then he went near Kirito and about to stab him. But he was forced to jump back to avoid the strike from above by someone. He looked at the person and recognized him as Hitokiri Batasai. Naruto glared murderously at Kirito and turned to Kirito. "Are you alright, Kirito?" Kirito looked surprised at the appearance of Naruto here and just nodded his head. Naruto turned to his back and called out, "Quick, Asuna, give him the antidote and get out of here ASAP. I don't want you to witness what I am about to do." Kirito widened his eyes that Asuna is here too. Asuna immediately rushes to Kirito and uses the antidote crystal on him. Once Kirito can move again, he turns to Naruto and asks, "You will kill Kirito? I am right, Naruto?" Asuna widened her eyes at that and asked, "Why? You shouldn't kill at all." Naruto's eyes turned emotionlessly, then he looked at Asuna. "No, I will not just kill him. I will make him beg for me to kill him by cutting him to pieces." Asuna and Kirito gasped at the look in Naruto's eyes and was about to protest. Kirito, seeing the Hitokiri Batasai in front of him begin to shake like a leaf. His widen in horror. He kneels down to his knees and begin to beg Naruto. Please forgive me this time be Batasai-san." Naruto just looked down at him with his cold eyes like he was some kind of insect. Then he turned to Kirito and Asuna and said, "Why are you two still here? Get out of here immediately. I am very pissed off right now." Asuna looked at Kirito and vice versa. Then Kirito nod and they begin to leave. After they had left, Naruto unsheath his Kusanagi and point down at Kirito. You shouldn't have targeted any of my friends, fool. Now you will pay the consequence with your worthless life. With that Naruto cut down his right arm. Kirito roared in pain and begged him to stop. Tell me where is the rest of your guild? Interrogated Naruto looked down at Kirito. I don't know. Please don't kill me. Begged Kirito with teary eyes for Naruto to spare him. You begs me to spare you. Will you spare Kirito, if Asuna and I haven't arrived in time, huh? Asked Naruto and slashed down the left arm. Kirito roared again. Why did you join the Kobo? Naruto continued to interrogate Kirito. To spy on him and to kill off all the best members. Answered Kirito no without his arms. You are a trash. You killed the person without remorse with glee. But when you are at whim, like right now, you ain't begging for your life. Trash like you disgust me. Disappear. With that said Naruto stabbed in his forehead. And Kirito roars so loud, that in the diameter of 3 meters anyone could hear. Then his HP dropped to 0 and he shattered like a glass with a wide eyes but still managed to gasp out. Monster. Naruto looked at the place where Kirito was for a while and breathed out heavily and looked at the sky muttered. Monster huh. Maybe it was true. Humans won't kill without hesitating like me. Then he grabbed his head and looked to the ground to mutter. What have I became? Am I even human anymore? With Kirito and Asuna. Kirito and Asuna had returned to Asuna's house. When Kirito was about to go to the bed, he suddenly felt Asuna embraced him and cried. I was so scared. I shouldn't have let you left, Kirito-kun. If not for Naruto's sudden appearance, you may already been dead. Kirito hugged her back and said. I am still alive. Stop crying. Now I am owning my life to Naruto. Asuna trying to calm herself still sniffing her nose. Suddenly, Kirito captured her lips forcefully. Asuna widened her eyes at first but returned the kiss. They kissed each other until the need of air was need and broke the kiss. Asuna's face is a little red. Kirito solemnly declared his emotions for her, how he had come to realize that Asuna meant the world and more to him. Then Kirito requested that he be allowed to sleep with Asuna that night. After finishing the dinner, Asuna nervously turned down the lights and slowly removed her clothing. Kirito was completely and utterly shocked and explained that he simply meant he wanted to stay by her side and not what Asuna was implying. Embarrassed by the situation, Asuna shouted and attacked Kirito, caused him fell out of his chair, though the area effect stopped her. When they cleared the misunderstanding, they went to the bed together. Asuna turned to Kirito and asked, why didn't you stop Naruto from killing Kirito? Killing is wrong. Kirito closed his eyes and looked at the ceiling. I won't be able to stop him. Naruto was one of the person that treasured friendship than anything else in this world, well except maybe his love for Lisbeth. Kirito tried to kill me. And in Naruto's eyes, that was unforgivable. He is suffering deep in his heart. But for the sake of the non-Pike players he is killing his heart to prevent the worst to happen. Since Naruto had wiped out the decent number of PK players, the normal players that was remain never died even once, as those players not part of the clearing party. Asuna looked down and muttered. But that was still wrong. He could simply send them all to prison, and not kill them off. Kirito looked at her and said. No, once the PK player had killed he won't stop anymore. Because with that act he found himself overpowering the other player and caused the other player to respect him by fearing him. That's why Naruto killed all of them off. To simply send to jail, will not change the fact that they would still continue to kill. Then Asuna and Kirito closed their eyes and fell asleep. Later at night, Kirito has awake earlier than Asuna. He is sitting by her side and looks at her sleeping form. Then he decides to poke her cheek. With that action, Asuna opened her eyes. Kirito asked. Sorry, did I wake you? I was having a dream, about how I used to be. It's strange. In the dream, I was wondering if everything in Aincrad was real. If everything that had happened with you was only a dream. I was really scared. I am glad it wasn't a dream, said Asuna then turned to the right and closing her eyes. You are weird. Don't you want to go back? Said Kirito looking at Asuna. I do. But I don't want to pretend that the time here had never happened. These 2 years have been so important to me. I've met so many friends in these 2 years. Naruto, Liz, the members of Kobo and of course you. I want the things to always stay this way. Kirito looks out of the window to think for a while, then decide to say, "Let's go to the village where Naruto and Liz have married. Let's move to there. And I want to marry you, Asuna." Asuna widened her eyes and began to smile softly at Kirito and nod her head. Sure. Floor 55. Dungeon. Naruto cut the monsters right and left, decapitated them. After a while, he decided to rest and leaned to the wall nearby and sat down. Naruto looked at his hand, then clutched into knuckle. Even if I am just a monster that enjoy killing the other people, I will do something to free all the people here. It's time I pay for my sins and end this game once and for all. With that, Naruto stood up and left the dungeon. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.